Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 1. The West Londoners lead again 2. Asensio daggers in the second half. A collapse again. Another defeat. A poor result for Chelsea, who are just trying to stop the rot. You look at the recent form. 3 defeats on the bounce in all competitions. 1 win in the last 5 games. You go back to that draw against Everton all the way back to the 22nd of December. Just 2 EPL wins in that time and 1 win against Morecambe. Outside of that, it's been very, very slim pickings indeed for Chelsea Football Club, who again miss chances, who again have opportunities, don't take them, and are pegged back. This is going to be problematic. Plus another massive, huge goalkeeping error. I know a lot of Chelsea fans have had this debate. I know a lot of Chelsea fans have been calling this out and speaking about this on a number of occasions. Oh, should it be Sanchez in goal? Should it be Jorgensen? I think most sensible football fans know that Chelsea they just do not have a goalkeeper at their club who is of the highest quality. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. They don't have a top flight, top level first team goalkeeper. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. But what of the chances missed today? The start was excellent from Chelsea. A very early lead. The opening goal, a wonderful ball from Caicedo. Brilliant direct attacking wing play from Neto. He squares it to Enzo, who puts it into the back of the net. They were in the ascendancy. They had the chances, but they didn't capitalize. Even at 1-1, Cole Palmer put through on goal, as you can see here. He didn't score. He fails to shoot first time. Look where Martinez is in goal. Dink that over him. It's 2-1 Chelsea. It's probably all she wrote, but he falls. He slips. Doesn't capitalize. Chelsea fans, you sit in 6th position. Just looking at that now in the league. You sit in 6th. An opportunity to leapfrog Bournemouth and Manchester City with a win today. But should City win? Should Nottingham Forest win? They're going to pull themselves further away from you in terms of the top 4 race. And Villa, who a couple of games ago looked like they were dwindling away from a sort of top 4 race, they are hot on your heels as well. And look, Newcastle have got a game in hand. They win that, they go above Chelsea. Villa, they actually have played 1 extra game because they played midweek as an example. But Chelsea here with their next game is against Southampton. So you would think they'd be okay. But if Chelsea do not pick up on this form, they could find themselves 7th or 8th in the league within the next 2 to 3 game weeks. And that will be a massive disappointment. Yes, nobody expected Chelsea to win the league. But to be dropping like this for the past 2 months is unacceptable on every single level. We want to hear from you today. We want to get your opinions. We want to get your thoughts, feelings on all of this today. Yes, people, get the like button hit, please. Get that done right now. Get that smashed. That'd be great if you could do so. That would be marvelous. I'm just updating something here because I'm doing it by myself. We want to hear from you. After Liverpool win the league, will they be considered the biggest team in England? We'll talk about that on another day. That means I don't mean it rudely. Fuck all to do with this game, mate. Come on, let's talk about the game. People talk about Arsenal in the chat. Come on, what are you guys doing? We're here to talk Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Why are we doing it? We did an Arsenal show earlier. If you want to speak about Liverpool, there's a Liverpool show tomorrow. We'll talk about Arsenal again on the Top 6 show Monday. Let's talk about this game in hand, please. Let's get that done right now. Straight away here from The Undertaker CFC. He says, protest Tuesday at Chelsea, 6 p.m. I still want to know what you're protesting, though. Because I've heard people phone into TalkSport. I've heard people say it's not about the results on the pitch. I find that to be staggering. I'm a little bit confused as to what you're protesting about. And I mean that as an outsider. I don't really understand it, if I'm being honest with you. So I'd love to know more about that. Abraham said, I had a feeling Asensio and Rashford would be a good link-up. Would never bet for it to be in a Villa jersey, though. Up the Villa. Unai Emery is still cooking. And you know what? Rashford and Asensio was good today. I thought Rashford came on and put in a man of the match performance. I thought he was excellent when he came on. Sensible in his possession, cooked up gusto on a couple of occasions. Both, I mean, the equalizer, the intelligence from Rashford, his run was perfect. He's going to try and strike and score. There's a little touch from Gusto. He repositions himself. He sees where Asensio is placed and squares it across the 6-yard box. Brilliant. The pass for the equalizer. The strike was okay. Jorgensen should be saving it, but the pass from him to spot Asensio, brilliant today. But it was his general threat throughout the course of the game, and that Rashford's really starting to find his feet again as a professional player. So fair play to him. Not the Manchester United I recognise. There's serious Palmer conversations needed. Palmer has hit the first slump in his career, but it is affecting him. Doesn't look as comfortable on the pitch. Yes, he's still creating chances in the game. He's still having decent performances. But there's the amount of times I see him now in a position to shoot, and he's maybe throwing in an extra feint. He's throwing in an extra dummy and turn. So almost like he's trying to rebeat the man he's just got past. He's starting to second guess himself. Just go with your instincts, Palmer. You're a fantastic player. Anyone blaming Maresca for this? Daft, all of you. I'd love you to unpack that for me. I would love you to unpack that. Hazard here said it's the model. Okay, I understand it's the model. That is too vague for people that are not Chelsea fans. Is it the model of how you're on financially? Is it because I've heard people say it's nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. They're happy with what's going on the pitch, which is fair. But for me, when I look at my club's model, I really do care about the end result more so than anything else. So I want to know if there's a connection, if they're completely segregated. I want to understand a little bit more about it. So let us know. Bring Cole Palmer back to my club. He can replace KDB, is what Rahman, who is a Man City fan, says here. MK Dave says Rashford was creating like mad and almost perfect. I think he's been excellent for Aston Villa. And look, I don't want to get into the revisionism. I thought it was the right thing for him to do to leave United. He was done with us. We were done with him. And I'm talking about the club, not the fans. Some of the fans were, to be fair. But the idea that Rashford was this washed player was just idiots, losers, terrible pundits and content creators speaking. You're starting to see Rashford come alive again. You know, this is... Anyone with a football brain knew that Rashford was going to be a very good player at Aston Villa, and he started amazingly. It's about the model, Terry, going for 100% young players and buying after good deals. Well, that must, yeah, but that must affect the playing elements. I'm just trying to understand, is it about both? Is it about both, please? Hopefully that makes sense what I'm asking. Now, Liverpool fan here, to be fair, Kelleher would help Chelsea massively. Oh, Kelleher's a country mile ahead of their current goalkeepers. Chelsea's current goalkeepers are absolutely rubbish. And they've got is it Petrovic who's out on loan? He ain't that much better. They've got Kepa who's out on loan. We know what his level is like. Chelsea have 7 or 8 goalkeepers. I'm going to say it bluntly. None of them are good enough for Chelsea. Your club is too big. Your club is there's too much pressure. The demand for quality is so high. Your current goalkeepers are not it. They're not it. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. Mish here says, Bluco out. I've had enough of this shit, is what Mish has got to say. Mish is not happy at all with that performance from Chelsea today, and I do understand it. I do. Villa is what Semi has got to say here to us this evening. Dyke here, it says 2 wins in 10, by the way, signing 100 goalkeepers and 0 good ones. Yeah, look, it's 3 wins, but obviously one of them is against Morecambe, and I know no serious Chelsea fan worth their salt is focusing on that as being part of the progress and part of the club's direction. 2 wins since in the league since the 22nd of December. Exactly 2 months, 2 wins. Nowhere near good enough, considering how good you were in the build-up to that date. It was like 8 wins on the bounce. 2 wins in 2 months. Absolutely must be questioned. There must be criticism. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, Dyke. Fair play to you. Fans need to stop about the board talks after every bad game. The window is months away. Focus on the games now. If we won today, there would be Maresca praises. And viewers, what did you make of Maresca today? What did you make of Maresca's performance as the manager? And what did you make of Chelsea's out there? I was a little confused about the way they were lining up, but I quite liked it. I thought that Chelsea, especially in the beginning, Reece James was kind of in the midfield area. I liked Enzo in a more advanced role because I don't like him deep personally. He was dangerous and he scored in the game. He nearly curled a beautiful shot late in the first half into the top corner. And I felt like Chelsea had the most shots in the game. They had the most shots on target. The problem is they just seem to lose their way. And as soon as Aston Villa equalised, the game became very stretched. And this is the one thing I noticed today with Chelsea, more so than anything else. They struggled when they were going through moments of adversity to shut the game down and control it, to suffocate the match. And that's a real problem for me. And part of that is probably the age profile of the players out on the pitch. They're very, very young indeed. Very, very young indeed. But so what did you all make of it? I'd love to get your take on that in the comments section below, please, people. A few of you talking here saying, okay, you guys are talking about each other. This defeat, not on the manager, even the subs, nobody to bring, even with subs, nobody to bring on. I understand that. And look, I think there'll be a lot of Chelsea fans that will come out today and say, well, I expected to lose anyway, so I'm not necessarily that annoyed. A lot of people in the build-up to this game, I heard sort of saying similar things to that. So I do understand it. I do get where you're coming from. But, yeah, give me some more. Give me some more. DR said he seems like he's trying to fix the problems. That's what I can say with Maresca. He's failing, though. Yeah, he definitely tried something different today. And it was so different. I went onto a couple of different stats websites, and they had your formations completely different. I think LiveScore had you as a back three with fullbacks. And Who Scored had you as a 4-2-3-1 with Reece James playing in the double pivot. So, yeah, I don't think anybody was too sure today. And I didn't see the lineups come up on the screen, but I'm watching more for where people are playing, you know, rather than what the graphics on the screen said. And I could see he was trying something different. You created the opportunities today, but that lack of finishing up front is crazy. That lack of finishing is crazy. We can't ignore the fact that we don't have a front shirt sponsor because we are demanding Champions League level money. Then we can't be this non-serious on the market. I hear you there. We simply lost to the better constructed team. That's fair. That is fair. And that's a really fair piece of analysis. You just got beat by a better team. I understand that completely. The age profile is part of the model. I hear you. All I'm calling out is every Chelsea fan I hear talk about the process. They say, oh, it's about the way we're run rather than how you're playing and performing, about the squad. But then when I ask like a bit more detail, everything leads to what's going on the pitch. So I just personally can't understand how it's separate. That doesn't make sense to me. And I'm trying to grasp it. Because my general thought is, if everything's going well on the pitch, 95% of people don't moan about the way the club's run. Typically speaking. Let's have a look at some more of your comments that are coming through here. Pope and Dubravka would help Chelsea. That's how bad they are at the moment. I agree. Maresca must hold this one, is what Football God says here. If you've got to go into more detail, my friend, that's not a good enough piece of analysis. Come on. That is, and these ain't really bad. That's not for the Football Terrace. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's for somewhere else. Said it before, we don't have good goalkeepers, strikers, or leading centre-backs. The right spine is so important. Completely agree. The right spine is absolutely imperative for all football teams. There's no doubt about it. True Blue here says, seen this script before. As soon as we score, we sat waiting for the loss. How does a club this size have these goalkeepers, Bluco out, and Kunku don't want to be here? Transfer window made us weaker. Excuse me. I agree. I said this at the end. All three, Chelsea, Man United, and Arsenal had disastrous windows. Look at all of our results. Look at all of our results since January. All of us. We all became weaker. Doesn't mean it wasn't right to say get rid of Rashford or Anthony. Doesn't mean it wasn't right to get rid of the players you moved on. Although I did think Dazarsi looked quite good the other day for Villa. It's about not bringing in adequate replacements and weakening the squad. I totally agree with you. I do. I think you're absolutely spot on when you say that. Sebastian here says Rashford and Asensio. Yeah, both look brilliant today. And it's really interesting because Spurs did a bit of business in January. I think they've won 3 Prem games on the bounce. Villa were in a rut. The new players are starting to bed in, starting to get positive results and win games. Seems like the teams that have bought players are starting to see improvements, and the teams that didn't, there we go. Time to bring out the panel tonight to have their say. As ever, people, I want to get your opinions. I want your thoughts and feelings as well on what we're talking about right here and right now. So make sure you've... sorry, I'm just trying to work something out on here. Did I press the right button? There we go. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done so already, and make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Really, really important that you get that done. On the panel so far tonight, of course, the usual suspect Chelsea fans are not going to turn up, are they? They're going to bottle it. They're not even in the group chats right now. Shame on them. We're going to share the link in the live chat because I'm at a point where I'm going to start looking for new Chelsea representatives on the terrace on a regular basis, because at least we want people that don't just show up when their team wins. So we're going to share that in the live chat now so you guys can call in. Oh, why did I do that? I typed over something. My bad. 1 second. 1 second, me old mates. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done here? All right, there we go. That's ready now. All right, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to pin the live chat. But we've got Husam on the show. We've got Ronan. We've got Elijah on with us as well. I've pinned that comment in the live chat. So if you want to phone in and join us on the show, please feel free to. It'll be really, really good to hear from you. But Husam's here. Elijah's here. Ronan's here. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm going to go to Elijah first. Point in night tonight. Talk to me. What was your thoughts on the performance? It started well. But it really seemed. Is that coming? Where's that noise coming from, bro? Is that coming from your end, Elijah? Yeah. I'll come back to you in a second. Yeah, when you're ready. Ronan, what did you make of tonight, my friend?
I'm going to eke one out, but on the road, their purchases played heavy tonight. It showed that, you know, when they were buying a win. We held tight on the January window, sticking the system. So we definitely could have benefited from a couple of purchases. Obviously, that's not part of the plan. I commend them on one thing. They are sticking to this plan regardless of any chatter from the outside, because one would think that they would have went out and purchased pretty much one of everything in January. They would have bought striker, attacker, definitely, possibly a goalkeeper, and probably a defender or another midfielder. But they didn't, and that just shows the resolve of them saying, no, this is the system. It is what it is. Be patient.
Yeah. I understand that element. In terms of tonight's game, from your perspective, what went wrong? Why couldn't you hold on and get that win or even the draw tonight, Ronan?
This was a direct result of pressure bust players. Young players playing under pressure again. No veteran leadership. I mean, Reece James is the captain, but other than that, there was really no one to steer them in the right way. And they've pulled under pressure, and it's been consistent now. So I think we can pretty much call it what it is. They have a very difficult time closing out matches. When they're up 3-0, yeah, and even teams come to bite them back a little bit. But when they're in a tight match toward the end of the match, I don't have any faith in this group on the pitch to win it. They have, if anything, they start to make errors. They don't get as offensive. They become so defensive that they allow runs into their attacking areas, and it's just not. It's obviously a void of veteran leadership and people who have the mentality at the end of the match to go ahead and win it.
I hear you on that. Elijah, I know you've been very frustrated recently with the way Chelsea have been performing, but it was a very good start today. I thought the opening goal was brilliant. You looked the much better team, but the longer the game went on, it looked more and more like Villa would come back. What were the problems out there on the field of play today for you?
Yeah, Terry, I agree with you. Like, we started off really well. Like, for me, this result is not on the manager today. It's on the players, because we should have won this game. We had chance after chance after chance, and we couldn't score. That's what I mean. So, yeah, we started off good. Like, the first goal, fantastic, goal from Chelsea. The pass from Caicedo into Pedro Neto was superb. But then Neto made a great through on the right hand side. He saw Enzo, he passed it to him, and Enzo tapped it in, 1-0 goal. And then I was like, good, we got the goal. Let's go on and score a couple more. But we didn't, you know. Cole Palmer today, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but he could have at least scored 2 or 3 goals, because the one in the first half was unlucky. So I'll give him that. But the second one, Caicedo made a great form pass into Palmer. Then Palmer, all he had to do is get past Martinez and shoot. But he doesn't do that. It takes way too long. Like, I don't know what's going on. And in Kunku today, he started off good in the first half, but then after that, he had a stinker. And I think for me, Pedro Neto has been only our best attacker today, because he was trying throughout this whole game. He was really trying. And what I will criticize Maresca is the substitutions, because again, he did it late. Because look what Uma Enwi did. He take off Jacob Ramsey, brings on Marcus Rashford, and that's Villa with a better team, you know, because Rashford came on and could Gusto, if you know what I mean. Because Gusto, I don't think he wasn't that bad, but he wasn't that great against. In the first half, it was good, but the second half, he was just shocking. You know, if you look at the first goal, I think he should have at least cleared it out instead of allowing the ball go straight into Rashford for the first goal. But the second goal, man, I mean, honestly, Philip Jorgensen, I don't know why on earth he didn't manage to catch that. Like, that was shocking from him. But for me, Terry, I blame more on our attack and then our defense, because the defense wasn't that bad today. You know, Philip Jorgensen, yes, he made should have done better with the second goal, but he made big saves. Like, there was a time when Reece James gave the ball away, and then Ollie Watkins shot hit the side net to, but he made great saves. So I think for me, our attack just needs to improve. But I'm just so tired when we don't sign any players, because it's just poor, man. Like, I have to tell you this, Terry, like, many people disagree with me, but if that was Jackson that Caicedo made that pass, he probably would have scored that. He probably would have scored that, because Jackson scored that similar goal against West Ham when Caicedo made the through-on goal. So for me, this is what happens when you don't sign any elite goalkeeper, a striker, and a midfielder, and a centre-back. Because now Cherry Chalobah is injured. We've already got like Reece James, Levi Colwell, you know, Josh Ashpong, and Kukurea. We've already got 4 defenders left. And I keep saying this, the more injuries we got, the more our squad is getting weaker and weaker and weaker, if you know what I mean. So the summer transfer window, it needs to be sorted out. We need a massive reboot, because if we want to get top 4 this season, we just need to sign some players, like just sign elite players, because if we keep signing young players, it's going to take us nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So we bought it, Terry. I'm very disappointed, because Bournemouth have lost against Wolves. So this was an opportunity here to finish top 4, but we failed to do so. So to me, this result is on the players than the manager today. So I'm honestly fuming, man, as always. But I don't know what to say, man. Just broken.
I hear where you're coming from. David, do you echo that? Was today more on the players than it is the manager? And if so, what players let you down today?
I believe I was here a year ago saying the same thing about these are coach won games being lost by players. And we have very similar players and we're in the same position. So does it surprise me? No, because I've been saying it since the start of the season that it's going to happen. So yeah. Today, obviously, Jorgensen makes the mistake. It's not ideal. Palmer's been second guessing himself quite a lot and he needs to do better. I know. I think Colwell needs to be stronger. I like personally, but he's a young defender and it's kind of expected. But the whole squad's young, so these things are going to happen. So stop overestimating what we've got, because that's not what we've got currently. People are rating our squad as if it's their final iteration, and it's just not at all. We're not even close to that. So, but again, bit of perspective from everyone. And we just wouldn't be as annoyed. I'm still annoyed we lost, but I wouldn't be as annoyed because I wasn't the person putting us up with the big boys when we're not ready to be put up with the big boys. So, yeah. It's one of those games where on a different day, we probably would have won that 3-0, 4-0.
That's just you, David, though. That's not the rest of the fan base.
I know, but I'm saying everyone in the fan base needs to get a bit of perspective about themselves and go like, look at what we've actually got and understand what we've got. Because Pedro Neto, while he is a good player, is not the final Pedro Neto who's going to be performing week in, week out. That's what we've got currently. We've got loads of players who are trying to become in their final form, but they're all 22 and 23. So have a bit of perspective of what is going on. Don't rate your player based on their best performance, rate it on their average. And the average is where we currently are. And that's fine, because that's where we probably should be. Like, genuinely, that's where the squad in its current iteration should be. And they have a plan and they're sticking to it. I don't have a problem with it. But people who are protesting have a massive problem with it. And whether they want to say it's because it's on the field or not, it's definitely because it was on the field. Because when we were 2 points away, everyone was you
don't agree. So you don't agree with Don that your squad is better than Liverpool and Arsenal's?
It's a completely stupid notion. Like I don't. What do you mean? It's a stupid notion.
I cooked Don for 5 minutes today. He can't. Don is the
Don is deluded, man. Like, come on, man.
How can a team?
I think you need to change his name because it smears my name.
How can a team have four legitimate world-class players who have done it for 2 or 3, 4 years, and your squad has none of them, and you're going to put them on the same level? Doesn't make sense. Today, we created 1.5 xG before Villa even registered a shot. If that's not quite simply a player issue, then I don't know what is. Because again, for me, Maresca coached the win today, and the players let him down.
Yeah, but can I just say one thing though? Because last season, the same exact thing happened, David. And I'm not calling out David here because David was the one who was being objective last year. Same thing happened last year at Wolves. I think you had probably more than 1.5 xG. Away at Wolves, Sterling had like 3 one-on-ones, missed them all. And post-game, all people were criticizing was the manager. You even had more injuries last season. People say, oh, if Jackson... First of all, I'm not sure that Jackson would score to begin with because he has like 0 goals in 7 games. So it's not like he's been flying and scoring these goals and dominating defenses. That was Jackson at the start of the season. Jackson after that has not been the same player. When it comes to Chelsea and the conversations, it's just the problem is just the energy change. For me, last season, I said Poch shouldn't have been sacked. I still say Maresca shouldn't be sacked because I don't think the manager is at fault in either case, in either scenario. Today's game, Chelsea lost to Aston Villa. I watched last season like 15 times. Same exact scenario. Chance after chance after chance. Miss them all. Create more XG. And then people go like, oh, Poch, this is Poch's fault. And then to this year, it's the same shit. So people going like, oh, Maresca. But it's the same thing. They just don't get it. They just don't understand. The reason why they're in this position is squad building. All these players are going to be amazing, incredible 3 years from now. None of them is ready now. This is just the reality. When you sign a bunch of kids, Terry sees it with Lenny Yoro. I see it with the young players that I have. You know, it's just the problem is you have 11 of them. That's the issue. So, like, even with Jorgensen, people go like, oh, Jorgensen like should start ahead of Sanchez. I think Chelsea fans have a scapegoat culture. Like, oh, this is Sanchez's fault. This is Poch's fault. This is Disasi's fault. There's always one person they need to put the blame on. Like, if I'm talking about the players today, I think Enzo Fernandez, that is, and Neto were your 2 best players on the pitch. Other than that, you can criticize the other 10. They were all crap, including Cole Palmer, who hasn't been good for a while now. Like, in these, like, 11 games where you've got two wins, he's probably been one of your worst players considering expectations. Because I'm sorry, like, and I know I'm speaking for the Chelsea fans here, but I think even they would agree with me. When you go into a game, you're expecting more of Palmer than you are of, like, Gusto. So obviously, when Palmer doesn't deliver, you get more upset. Today, the chance that he had one-on-one, like, you know, Martinez slipped on his ass. A confident Palmer, like, you know, from 3 months ago would have just chipped him. The chance from right outside the box, he doesn't even hit the target. Like Cole Palmer, that is. So when you put these players on a pedestal, like, oh, he's the best player in the world, he's better than this guy, he's better than that guy, they're going to be held to those standards, and even by your own fan base, not even like forget rivals and banter and all this. So I'm looking at Chelsea right now. They had the same issue that they had last year, which is not the manager. Their issue is recruitment. Their issue is the people that they've learned about this season. When I was cussing them last year, when Stanley and Stewart, I told them it's not about Poch. And as a matter of fact, I take it a step further. Just based off of like squad gelling and just based off of like the way that they've connected with each other towards the end of last season, I think they would be in a better place right now had they kept Pochettino. The reason why I say that is very simple. I think they just needed continuity. Like they just needed a little bit of continuity, just stay with the same person, hear the same voice, so you can just, get used to something. And I think they missed the chance on that by hiring Maresca. And now the reason why Boli and Iqbali is in trouble, and land on this, you gave this guy a 5-year contract. This is your guy, essentially. Like, this is it. Maresca's the guy that you hired to be your guy. He's going to be the guy that takes you forward. You can't sack him now. There is no scenario, in my opinion, where Chelsea sack Maresca. I genuinely don't see it, because I don't see them getting relegated. I don't see them, finishing 12th or something. Regardless where they finish this season, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, they're going to keep him because he's their guy. So they have to back him in the public eye. But the truth of the matter is, it's a different year, and it's the same exact problems at Chelsea, which I called out last season, which is not manager. Players underperforming, recruitment. That's just the reality.
I tell you what I am most shocked about today. I can't believe out of all three of the teams from the top 6, Man United, Arsenal, and Chelsea that played today, Man United have come out of it the most positive result. And that's the thing I'm probably most shocked about today. And we were dog shit for large parts of that game. But yeah, look, I get where you're coming from. I do, Husam, when you say that. And I don't know whether I think Poch made a lot of mistakes last year. I think a lot of goodwill was used up as an example, and they moved him on. But I do think, and maybe I'm guilty of this as well, I think I felt this Chelsea squad was better than it actually is. That's something I have to hold my hands up for. I thought they were better than they actually are. And sometimes you lose sight of this, but when you go through adversity, or when the expectation changes, when you go from being a team that might push for the top 4 to could be in a title race, I think there's a different expectation, there's a different media attention, maybe there's a different thought process and feeling within the dressing room. I think all of that plays a part in this. And look, I'm not saying I'm for or against the protests. I don't really understand them fully at the moment. And I say that because I understand parts of them, but then I keep hearing Chelsea fans say it's nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. But when they start being asked about their reasonings, it always ends up about, well, recruitment of players. Well, that must have something to do with...
Sorry. The protest is about performances on the pitch.
Of course, it has to be.
People are just sick of waiting. No one wants to see their squad build up. Everyone just wants to see their final squad tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear that. Winter Surfer, obviously a disappointing result for you today, mate. It really was. Everyone really has said on the panel so far, this was the players letting you guys down today. A couple of players that stood out, the Jorgensen mistake in goal, Palmer having another poor game by his standards. What's wrong with some of these players at the moment, in your opinion?
Maybe believe in their own hype after the first season and a half. I don't know why Palmer's didn't slot that right away. The goalkeeper even slipped. Do you know what I mean? And he'd still decided to take an extra touch. He doesn't do that. Sam's right. Look at that goal against Wolves earlier season where he just chipped it over the goalkeeper.
The goal against Brighton.
Goal against Brighton. I don't know what it is. Jorgensen, people at Streaming know for 2 years I've been banging on get a goalkeeper because you can't have a project in goal. You just can't. And if we weren't going to win, the goalkeeper can't make a mistake and we walk out there with a point. And Gusto, yeah, it's just those 3 moments. Like I said, I'm not going to blame Maresca really for this. Even the subs, it's like you look back and you go, which I did have sympathy for Poch last season when he looked back in the subs and they were like 9 NPCs, 2 of them goalkeepers. It's like I don't know what more the manager could do today. Like you said, I know we're gonna concede chances, but when you actually hand them to the opposition, that's the most frustrating part. Villa, I think overall a point was probably fair between the 2 sides. Villa had chances, but I'm not like Jorgensen had a couple of saves in the first half, really nothing in the second and stuff like that. And we didn't really test Martinez really that much. But I'm just like, as a goalkeeper, you can't. And then the most frustrating thing is they picture over to Sanchez like I'm supposed to go, oh yeah, bring Sanchez in goal. And someone said, it's like, what are we doing? It's like the Spider-Man meme. You just literally put a turd in the hood, literally on my screen, because that's all it is when it comes to goalkeepers. But Terry, I've seen 20 years of great goalkeepers at my club, and even Mendy for a year and a bit was a good goalkeeper. And now it's like you cannot have project goalkeeper and a project striker or project forwards. You cannot do it. The goalkeeper is supposed to bail you out on something like that. I mean, so I don't know what noise that is in the background.
Yeah,
Someone's like,
if you're not talking, if you just keep yourself on mute for us, that'd be amazing. That stops all the background.
It wasn't even
noise.
a hard. You know what? That wasn't even a hard shot. It was right at him. It wasn't even a hard shot, and yeah, we come out with not even a point because I would, if you'd offered me a point before the game, I would have taken it. You know what I mean? It's not, but yeah, and like this is how I think mediocre after the first couple of league wins is. We're still in the mix for this even after this loss because Newcastle and Forest play tomorrow, and City and Liverpool play tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? We're still in it. We're still in this race, even with 2 back-to-back losses, which shows the levels of the teams around are very even. Do you know what I mean? And we have. I'm sorry, but no matter, I don't care what anyone says, but from the next 2 games, I must win for this team. No matter what, they must win. They have to be at home.
Well, you got Southampton. I can't. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I cannot imagine you.
That's what I mean. No drop points unless the game after as well.
Yeah, that should be back-to-back 6 points for you. If it isn't, I think things could get really, really poisonous. A few super chats here. First one from DJ says, "Did Chelsea play bad today?" with a question mark. Chelsea listening to CFC listening to Terry riling you up about our club and writing everyone else will only annoy you more. 445 is still on. It certainly is still on. But again, DJ, I know that you're very defensive of your club. But I think everything I've said today about your club is correct. I don't think you have good enough goalkeepers. I think that your players let you down today. I think that when you look at 2 wins in the Premier League in 2 months isn't good enough and you should be questioning it. It's absolutely fair when you consider you won 8 on the bounce in the lead up to that run. So whatever you can say that I'm riling up Chelsea fans, if that's what you think and feel. At the same time, you can tell me why I'm wrong about my opinions on Chelsea because I just don't think I am. At this particular moment, something's got to change because it's very, very poor indeed. This here says Husam talking shit again. Every fan base scapegoats.
That's bullshit. Like when Liverpool dropped points this season, we blamed the correct people. We blamed Kelleher for Newcastle. He made a mistake towards the end when we equalized. Robertson, we blamed him for Fulham because he got sent off when we were cooking Fulham. We don't just blame people for the sake of it. You guys do this all year long. You've been the one fan base consistently looking at one guy. Oh, this is all Sanchez's fault. Guess what? Sanchez ain't in the team no more. So now what?
Sam, if you love Poch so much, have him over Slot. Well, that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, but that's just silly because the comparison here is Maresca versus Pochettino. The comparison is not Maresca or Poch versus Slot.
It's a very strange thing, especially if he loves Slot more. It's so I'm selling my dog. Oh yeah, your dog's really nice. Can we swap dogs then? No, I love my dog more. It's weird things you said there, DJ. I actually think Chelsea played Rash and Asensio. I'm going to say very quickly on Rashford. I think there's a lot of clubs around Europe right now. Arsenal might even be one of them that wish they went out and got Rashford. I know he fell off at Man United and I criticize him for it, but anyone who thinks he's a bad football player is wearing whatever the opposite to rose-tinted glasses are against Manchester United. It's a pure hatred of Man United that's blindfolded is making you think that. It really is because I think he's looked sharp.
I saw him do step-overs. Today. I've never seen. I can't remember
last time telling me that he was physically done. He was. Listen, I think Gusto is a really good defender. The way he just got past him sometimes with consummate ease. The play is brilliant. And listen, the good thing about this only being a loan and no one giving us the £40 million in the summer, if he keeps this up, we're getting a lot more than 40 million smackaroonies for that lad. I hope he stays still. I hope he turns it round. I don't think he will, but there's a brilliant player in there. He was great today. But sometimes it's rose-tinted glasses and blindfolds because everybody earlier on today was telling me that the little pull on Ashley Young was definitely a penalty. And then look what's his name? Kukurea was doing, hold it like literally hanging on a man's arm. And again, not given because they've said all season they're not giving them as penalties. But the whole world forgot that at 12:30 today and was like, nah, that little pull on Ashley Young's shirt was a pen. But that's because it's about a club you hate. So you get a lot of that. True Blue here says we are flip players FC, buy young, loan out, sell. We are not a serious club anymore. also lacking experience, and it shows with the Championship manager. Ches has joined us now. Ches, you're someone that has, you don't believe you're Flip Player FC. You very much bought into the idea of your ownership, the direction you're going in. You've backed them, not all of their decisions, but you've always felt they were going to get you back to the very top. Chelsea fans in their droves are turning against the ownership, the manager, the squad, saying it isn't good enough. Have you joined them? Has your mind changed over the last couple of months that maybe you were wrong for standing behind the project and the rebuild?
No, because the project doesn't end in 2025. So the project that we built isn't meant to end now. If you're building so we've spent 1 billion, right? So we spend it on Mbappe prime players, then the project would be this season, right? Like Roman did. But if the ownership's problem was and the strategy was to spend on youth and develop them, then I can't judge it on that way. The only thing I'm annoyed about, which I've been saying consistently, is you can still flip on the side, but still look at your spine of your team and develop your team at the same time. Because we have enough money to spend on the team and also do your flips on the side, whatever players you want to do that with, 10 million, 12 million, whatever it is. But the problem is, with the Chelsea fans are annoyed about, is they've spent a lot of money recently on the flip kind of players rather than addressing the issues you have in the squad. I guarantee you, if Chelsea had bought in January that they should have done, a winger or even a midfield cover on loan, even experienced on loan midfielder, then the Chelsea fan base would understand, cool, they don't want to spend too much in January, but in the summertime, they're going to reinvest heavily into the squad. But no one has the belief they're going to do that because at the moment, all they're doing is buying a lot of flip-type players. So they can still do both. And the reason why I'm not going to flip-flop on that is because you don't buy Caicedo for 100 million to flip. You don't buy Enzo Fernandez for 150 million to flip. They're not flip players. They were clearly bought in the essence of being world-class potential players. So today's game in particular, we should have walked away with a draw. Minimum, a draw. This is what Chelsea are right now. We have poor quality goalkeepers, centre-backs, which I've also said many times. So I'm not really surprised. I predicted a 3-1 loss. It was 2-1. I didn't think we'd throw it away the way we did, no pun intended, towards the end of the game. But I'm not looking at the manager today going, like, he made massive errors. He changed it up a bit. He then reverted again. But the players let him down. Ask all the Chelsea fans today. This game was rinse and repeat what I've seen the last 2 months. Create opportunities, don't take them. Opposition gets a bit of luck or a good quality shot, they win the game.
Yeah. Do you think there's an element here, Ches, of Chelsea fans, rivals as well, like myself? Do you think we've misprofiled your squad? Do you think we've actually overhyped and over-egged how good your squad is what we're seeing now? Because you're dropping your current trajectory, you're moving towards between a 6th place and 8th place finish. That wasn't what I was predicting top 4 at the beginning of the season. So do you think we've over-egged how good this squad is?
I think it's more of a case of we're underperforming rather than you're overrating us. So I think we're just underperforming as a team. Because, for example, the first, 18, 19 games, Chelsea were averaging about 3rd in the league, 2nd in the league. For 19 games, that's big enough sample size to say a team is a certain level of quality. Now is a different conversation to say a full 38-game season. So this last 2 months has been nothing short of terrible, to be fair. So am I really now going to say that you overrated us? Not really, because we were 2nd place for half the season. So I wouldn't say that's the case. I'd say we're more underperforming massively rather than rivals and Chelsea fans overrated. The people who overrated are the same people that will tell you we should win the league next season. Because what they'll do is, when Chelsea were high and flying, they were saying, oh, my bad. The reason why I came with that video that you posted was because I was saying to those Chelsea fans who are now protesting now that, look, you said our squad was rubbish and average and we were 2nd in the league. The video you posted to me, right? And now, because
what video did I post?
Remember the video, the clip where I've said, I think we beat Spurs, and I came on the stream and I said, everyone who didn't make us.
I didn't post that.
Whoever clipped that up, I don't know who it was. You posted in the group chat. That's what I'm trying to.
Oh, yeah, I didn't post it. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, whoever made it, fair enough. But the point is that when Chelsea were in that run, I was saying to these fans who are protesting now, like, you rated our squad rubbish, and now we're 2nd. So now they're going to say to me now, oh, Ches, you you might have overrated our squad. I don't think that's the case. I just think we're underperforming.
I hear that. A couple of more questions for you, just back onto the squad. Are you against these? Obviously, you're behind the Are you against the protests in terms of? I assume you won't be attending and supporting them because you trust what Clear Lake are doing.
Wait, what? What's your question? Am I going to the protest?
No, not going. You're not going to be supporting the protest, I assume, because you're trusting the process.
No, being balanced, like being objective, I can understand why fans would want to protest because they've seen their club go from Champions League winners to fighting for top 8. Yeah. So from that point of view, I understand. I personally won't go as of now because I don't believe we won't get top 4. I still think we'll make Champions League football, whether we top 5 or top 4. I've been consistent with that. And the reason why I know that is because we've won 2 games in 10 and we're 4 points behind third. So why am I... Unless Chelsea continue, like you said, under the pre-assumption that we're going to not win our next 10 games after this, 2 out of 10 next 10 games, then cool. I'll concede, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But if we do, then
you're going to win your next 2 games. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if you don't beat Southampton and Leicester, if you ain't beating both of them, there's fucking problems. Like,
yes, if you don't beat Southampton and Leicester, then
I'll come on here and I'll say.
What I mean by that is, and he's saying a dig at Chelsea. Man United, as we know, are awful, and we have beaten them. So if you guys can't beat them, you got massive problems.
And so to be consistent, if we didn't beat said teams, then I would come on here and agree with you. But as it stands, I don't think today's performance, the Brighton second game performance was probably that with the Man City, and the other boys are told us one of the points where they're like really outliers, like really terrible. The Brighton first game today should have walked away with at least a draw. We had clear-cut chance. If Palmer scores that chance, I think we end it with a win. It's just that's what we are in our small margins. So I don't really know what to say. Really, it's any different to what the other guys have already said. We're really poor. The ownership need to adjust to the spine of the team because Jackson needs competition bare minimum. We need a new goalkeeper. I'd say a centre back and a winger in the summer. I think that's feasible as well. I would also
but the bad run started when Jackson was fit, though.
Yeah,
like I'm being serious. Yeah. The bad run was started while Jackson was fit. He just didn't score for 7-8 games.
That's my point. That's why I said he needs competition bare minimum. Meaning, if we get a Gyökeres in, I say bare minimum because he'll get dropped, right? So my point is, Chelsea need to adjust to the spine. My phrase to I've been saying is, adjust the spine, flip on the side. Is a kind of like slogan. If they want to do this flipping thing, no Chelsea fans going to care if they buy Gyökeres, Hoyson, experienced centre back, and a winger, and let's say a goalkeeper. And Chelsea can actually afford to do that because all the players we're going to sell in the summer, plus the money we're going to make from, if I believe, Champions League football. So for me, although this team is progressing in a way that I don't like, because I want to see progression from last season, I need to see us get Champions League football. If we don't, I'll crush it on the team, like I am right now. But I don't really feel like we should be the protesting as of now. The only reason why I say that is because I don't think it's Maresca's fault per se why we're not in the top 4 right now. I think it's the ownership. So they have a chance now in the summer to rectify. But yeah, but if you think Poch is the Messiah, then I disagree in it. That's just my point of view. But Sam,
Maresca has played a part.
Pep is not even the Messiah.
In the recent running form.
Yeah, but why are we bringing up Poch? That's what I'd love to ask
you. We're bringing up Poch because I'm bringing up Poch. No one else brought up.
Yes, I'm asking you why do you bring him up?
Yeah, and I'm about to answer. The reason why I'm bringing up Poch is the energy.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Listen, you could go back and watch it, but the reason why I'm bringing up Poch is, listen, at the end of the day, the energies are different in these match reactions that was also a part of last season where it was all the manager's fault. Now all of a sudden people don't talk about Win Stanley and Stewart from the board. That's the board now and all this shit. Listen, you said you had a good enough team to finish top 4. And by the way, you're getting mixed signals. The reason why I think the protest is right is because you're getting mixed signals from your ownership. Number one, they said that the reason why they sacked Pochettino is because you didn't meet the targets of getting top 4 qualification. By definition, your targets aren't going to get lower a year later. You're going to have higher targets
that was
a year later. I think the reason that they sacked Pochettino is because at the last, like for the last month and a half, when Chelsea started winning, he started calling out the ownership in the press conferences, talking about spending money the way that they spend and the fact that you sign all these children and stuff. Like he called it out publicly, and I think that's one of the reasons why he got sacked. And they had to get in a yes man, who's Enzo Maresca. Listen, Slot is a yes man before
He's
everyone
not a
gets
yes
mad.
man. He's not a yes
There's-
man though.
He is.
You don't have a go at your
Hey,
boss.
David,
Yeah.
2 point. I want to
If you don't have a go at your boss in
But
public,
let me
that's-
finish.
yes.
My God, don't be.
No, no,
David,
no,
you
no.
agree with me anyway. I don't get why
No,
you're mad.
No, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. I don't. Because
So you
first
think?
of all-
So they sacked
Okay,
Pochettino for not getting
can
top four.
I've heard your point. Let me respond.
Go on.
You said first of all, the reason why Pochettino got sacked was because he You said he got sacked because he didn't make top four. Not true. That isn't the main reason why he got sacked. The main reason he got sacked was actually your second point of he didn't get on with the people he worked for. If you have a go at your boss in the workplace and you guys can't work together, he's going to get rid of you. So, like, what do you mean he's a yes man? I can't go out at my boss.
You
You
missed the point
You wanted a
completely.
longer contract.
You've missed the point
contract as
completely.
well.
I think they briefed the media that the reason why they sacked Pochettino is off top four, but I don't agree with that. I think personally the reason why they sacked him is because he didn't get on board with this stuff. So I'm agreeing with you. That's what I'm saying. Me and you agree. I'm talking about what they briefed the media with. I'm talking about the messages from Chelsea. A year later, the targets is not going to get worse. So you're expected to get top four. And at the start of the season, it was like top four is the target. And then it came out again. It's like, oh, top four is not the target this year. And then
Also
last week when they were feeling the pressure again, they're like, oh, by the way, top four is the target.
Also not true as well, but okay.
I hear that, gents. We haven't spoke to Kish or Andrew Barnes yet, so we're going to Kish first of all. First of all, welcome to the show, mate. I assume you're a Chelsea fan. Have you frozen? I think his computer's frozen. Unless
He's
he's
very nervous.
unless he's
nervous.
trolling us. Unless he's trolling us, you know what I mean? Imagine just goes, hey. Right, well, Andrew, welcome back to the show, mate. I hope you're well. Obviously, today's game, a disappointing result. A lot of people talking about it was the players that let the team down. Do you agree with that, or do you see it slightly differently?
No, I agree with that, and I have a list of players, and I want to call out like Cole Palmer first. I know everybody will talk about it, and it's what people have said on the panel already. He is second guessing himself, and it's given that he's a young player. He still has ways to go in his career, and all of that is a given. But you still have to call him out if he's made a bad performance, and that's what we're doing. We're saying that okay, he's not living up to the standards that he set last season. And normally what would have happened is that when Palmer's doing this, you take him off, you should take him off and put Felix on, but we don't have Felix. So I again agree with the point that you made, Terry, in the beginning and like previous weeks, and what most Chelsea fans were saying. We did have a good squad at the beginning of the season. We did. The January window happened, and now our squad is shit. We let go of some people that could have filled in the positions now. Because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm saying it's shit. Because when I saw today that okay, Maresca could bring somebody on to change something, we don't have the people. At one point in time, I'm like, okay, just bring on some kids. Because talking about like mentality and players like not performing to the peak, we cannot win anything with Levi Colwell as a center back today for the next, I don't know, year or two. We cannot win anything with him because he doesn't make right decisions. He makes very hasty decisions, and then he either fouls or he passes it to the opponent that's like coming into the box, which is like quite frustrating. Second is Reece James' mentality. I think Maresca called him out at the beginning when he came in. Like even when they were about to take the corner, and we were 92 minutes in, and we are trailing, and he's about to take the corner. He's walking towards the corner. I'm like, there is no urgency. Like you're sitting as a Chelsea fan here and you're frustrated and be like, okay, come on, like speeding that up. There is no urgency there. And for me, that is a problem. And the amount of times that we lost the ball out of throw-ins, it felt like a FIFA game, where the guy is just like, he's just throwing it wherever and he's like losing the ball. And I'm like, these are small basic things that lose you games because you're showing that you're not in it. You have the lack of mentality or discipline to do these small things. And I think that's a big problem of what's happened for these last 12 14
Yeah.
games that
Do you
you've
know-
been
do you know
on
what's
I
mental
don't know,
bad
Terry,
form.
before I go.
Yeah, go on,
Um,
Ches.
That this is where it does fall on the manager to a certain degree. That I don't want to say overarchingly, but I do feel like the team is losing a bit of belief, and that does stem from the manager. So to what my guy said, be up to his point, is that it does look like they're not putting 100%. Like Palmer, for example, is second guessing himself. He's falling over himself. Gustas make a lot of mistakes. You could say it's quality, but at the same time, these are the same players that won all those games in a row only 2-3 months ago. So it's not like it's a complete different squad. And even if you get rid of some players, the core of the team, I know we've lost Lavia and Jackson, but like Husam said, Jackson wasn't scoring for 8 games. He was also falling over himself. I feel as though the pressure has got to them, but now it's even deeper than that because we're not even in a title race anymore. So it's not even no longer title race pressure. I just feel like the pressure of the fan base and the whole top 4 thing and how the club's feeling is getting to the fan base because obviously it's social media now. They hear and see everything that we hear and see, right? So for me, before I go, it's definitely salvageable the season because the Conference League is still there. European Trophy we should be winning. And obviously top 4, despite our poor form, we're still in it, apparently. But what I would say is, like you said before, if we don't beat these 2 teams coming up, that says everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Because that shows the really deep-rooted problem. But
I hear you. I hear you on that. Cheers, Ches. Appreciate it, brother. I get where you're coming
But I just
from.
want to Terry,
Yeah,
sorry, I
go
just
on,
want to
go on, yeah,
continue.
go on, mate. Go on.
Yeah. I just want to continue on that, just to say what Ches also brought up. The pressure has not only gotten to the players, so the manager feels it now, like because he's going back on what he said 3 weeks ago. He said, or 3 or 4 weeks ago, he said, okay, we're not, we're not. There was no target for him. He said there was no top 4 target. There was nothing. The last press conference, he said that top 4 is the target. I came here to do this. I came here to bring this club to the next level. So it's clear that there's pressure now from the top. It's come on to the players, and you can see it in their performances. And just this could be like a hot take, but like I think Nkunku should only play the Conference League. Like let him get his number of goals. There's this stat padded and say, okay, he scored these many goals and sell him because even though he did decently okay today, he's a senior pro. Like he's supposed to, like on the pitch, carry these guys. He doesn't show any initiative. I think that if you put Tyreek George there, somebody who's they just wants to show that, hey, I want to play for this team. I want to play for that badge.
Yeah.
It means something to me. Like,
No,
just that energy.
No, Andrew, I hear where you're coming from. The consistency conversation is interesting, though. And I often think about myself in the sport that I used to do and the people that, the fighters that were consistent, the kata people that were consistent, but the pressure that was put upon them when they set a certain standard, because people then expect that from you again. The same happens in most workplaces of a certain level, especially I think if you work in sort of, I always felt that sales teams, whether you call them salesmen or nowadays they've got weird names like, corporate business development officers. And I'm just like salesman then, right? Anyway, there's sometimes pressure there where you go into a sales team. Let's keep it really basic. You're selling cars and you go and you start well, everyone else averages 3 car sales a week. You start doing 4, then you start doing 5. And suddenly the management expect 4 or 5 from you every single week. Now, if you've ever been in that kind of role, suddenly the pressure starts to mount, because even though you're exceeding expectations, your new bar for your expectations rises and the pressure becomes on top. So you have to make sure you're getting to bed on time, that you're doing your research on the items that you're selling, that you're feeling refreshed, that you're healthy, that you look good, that you're not making mistakes, because suddenly the expectation on you to deliver is higher. Maybe in that time you get a pay rise, you get bigger bonuses, again, more pressure to deliver. And that's why consistency is a very underrated value in life in general, let alone sport. It isn't just about being good enough. It's about handling the expectation of delivering that each week and then maintaining that quality, which means you have to. These players have already dedicated a lot to the sport to get to this level. Something like 0.0 something % of people become professional football players. Then, the percentage will be even lower in the Prem. But then to maintain those levels, the discipline, the lifestyle. It's not like boxing where you can train well, eat well, have a fight, have a month or 2 off, get back in the gym, start training. With football, it is a consistent process. And unlike the older days where you could let go in the summer. You have to maintain a certain level now to even be able to compete when you return in pre-season. All of these things need to be looked at. And I think we as football fans have become a little bit indoctrinated with, I'm going to base my opinion on football players purely on their ability, not their consistency, not their longevity, not the lifestyle they lead, not their availability, which is such an important component, not just on the field of playing football, but all aspects of life when you're trying to become successful. Being a good parent, you have to be consistent. It's hard. I don't know how many of you here are dads. It is so hard sometimes, right? I got a bad bit of gout in my foot. I'm sitting in the living room earlier. My kids are running around playing, right? I want to be a good dad. I don't want to be too harsh on them. But they keep running past and brushing my foot. And if you've ever had gout, it hurts. But I don't really like shouting at my kids. But I'm like trying to be consistent, trying to be good. But then I'm like, no, I need to be disciplined, though. You've got to maintain this level of consistency, even on days where you're feeling rough or you've got a pain somewhere. No, I still need to be me. I can't have a day where I'm not nice to them, where I lose myself because of a problem. But it's fucking hard. And I don't always do a good job of that because I'm a human being. And I look at all aspects of sport like that part of life. Maintaining consistency is so difficult. You might find that Palmer's going through a problem with a parent or a grandparent or something in their home life. Got to be consistent on the pitch, though, because that's like everybody else's job. And I think that element is...
We agree with you, Terry.
Yeah. So I'm not disagreeing with your points here. I think that's where I look at it around how good are our squads. And I'm not just talking Chelsea here. I am talking about all fan bases when they look at all of their teams. I think too much of the time we look at the ability, or I've seen them do this once or twice. Yeah, but can they do it 30 times, 32 times, 33 times in a season? That's why Mo Salah is so amazing. Because even when he ain't performing to his best, that prick still delivers. That's how the consistency is there. And I think that's something that Chelsea as a club internally have got to look at. Yes, we've got a good ability there, great ability there. But what's their consistency like? What's their lifestyle like? What's their availability like? And I think those are when you start going from a team that's pushing for top 4 to winning a title, I think that's where you've got to start nitpicking, if that makes sense, as opposed to just focusing on, it looks slick when they pass the ball.
This is a future, though, because you've seen Spurs now do it this summer. This young recruitment is what most clubs, your club's going to do it, Terry. I predict your club's going to go do it. If they haven't started already, Liverpool might do it if they have a clear out. You know, I think this is the young player model is what most clubs are trying to do, especially in England. I don't know what the obsession is with that,
Andrew,
but I think that's what it makes. Has to be. It's just, it's for me. It's not even about the age. It's just how good they are. Do you know what I mean? I don't, like for me, I would have signed Mike Gurhey in January. I mean, he's a very good central defender. He's only 24. Do you know what I mean? I would have signed him. Bring him in. He's got leadership skills. We saw it in the Euros, very good, and everything like that. But I don't get paid millions to bring players in. But I think we're gonna have to. This is why the protest for me, Terry, there's no clear message. Okay, it's all different messages. At Spurs, it's Levy, Enoch out. Even at Rack's club, even though it's a bit less these days because obviously they're doing well, it's even planes over the pitch, over the stadium. FSG out. At your mob, Terry, it's Glazers out. Maybe it'll turn to Ineos soon, but it'll be Ineos and Glazers out. Ours, it's Bluco out, Clearlake out, Bowley out, Igbali out, Maresca out.
I'm even saying players out. I'm saying get some players
the model.
out. Like
I've heard change the model.
Change the model,
yeah. You lot can stay, just change what you do. That's not probably not
happen. No, but yeah. No, but the thing is, Terry, you made a very important point about
cash, but just doing a bit of a different way. That's fine.
Yeah, no, but Terry, you made a very important point about the human aspect of football, that we as football fans are spoiled. Like we are just, we expect this level day in and day out. There's a human factor where they could be having family problems, whatever problems. The thing that I'm saying that it's okay to lose a game, at least show that you want to be there. If you can't be there, like if I'm sick, I call in sick. I don't turn up to work and not work.
And I agree with that. But where I'm talking, someone messaged me saying, I don't know what you mean by the kids example. Okay, when I'm being a dad, none of you are watching me. None of you are watching me perform, right? So I can make a mistake. I can be inconsistent and then make it up to them as an example. If I'm doing it though, it's a TV show and it's a reality show, and you're like, oh, I can't snap because the cameras are on me, right? I'm never going to be in a reality show. But that's harder than being a normal parent, because you can't just let it out as an example. So when you're a professional football player and you're going through something, your mum and you have had an argument, you and your brother have had a falling out, your girlfriend and you have had a big row and argument. Even in a normal job, the world isn't judging you, but you've got to try and put your best foot forward. The mental strength you need to handle, because I'm a firm believer, I don't think it matters how rich you are. Human beings will go through a lot of the same experiences in terms of with their families and their personal life. And that's just one case in point. But as a footballer, you do need to be able, whether people like it or not, I'm not talking about a parent or a child passing away, nothing that extreme. They shouldn't be on the football pitch. I think they should be away mourning. I'm talking about an argument. I don't believe someone should have a day off work because they've had a big fight with their girlfriend or their wife. I don't believe there's a good enough reason to not be at work. But I use that as one case in point where if I'm an owner of a football club, if I'm the manager, and I realize, you know what, every single time player A, as a missus with the Barney with the missus, we get a 6 out of 10 performance, I'm going to look to move that person on. And that's what I mean by you've got to look. I think there are factors that go into why teams become inconsistent. And some of it is football related. Some of it is personal related. Some of it might be, why is this guy always so up and down? Do some research into their life. It turns out, guy orders a lot of Just Eat on Fridays. Do you know what I'm saying? He orders Just Eat every night. And I'm just saying that I think that Chelsea have got some very, very talented players. Older players need to be added to this squad. But that isn't just because, it's not just the experience. It's because they have gone through the growing pains and the process, and they've become more mature. They've got more chance of being consistent than a 21-year-old. And then what you have to do is weed out the 21-year-olds that maybe never get to that consistent level, not because they're not good, but because there's an element of their life, whether it's a diet issue, a nightlife issue, fights with a girlfriend issue, whether it's just I don't want to work that hard issue. There's multiple reasons. And I think Chelsea, the reason why I use Chelsea as a case in point is I think you're at a stage where 2 or 3 more quality signings and maybe a bit of real hard home truths. I know you all love this player because of his ability, but he's not great for us on consistency. Move a few of them on and replace them with better. I just think you could be a team that wins massive stuff. So I just think you're at this stage where you're really, really close.
This is why youth recruitment is so difficult, because it does make sense. I get what Andrew is saying. It does make sense because you can get these really talented young players into your team before anybody. The idea is you get them in before anybody else has a chance to pick them up, right? So if you're really talented, if you're Cole Palmer and Chelsea get him in, then it means that Man United are going to find it much more difficult, or Liverpool are going to find it much more difficult. All the other teams are going to find it much more difficult to get him. But the problem is that there's a lot that happens between that 17-year-old mark and the 22, 23 when they really start hitting their stride that can go wrong, whether it be on a personal level, professional level. Maybe they don't develop technically, physically, whatever the case may be. That development hasn't taken place. So it's much more. When the other day when I said it's much more of a gamble to take that strategy, that's the reason why, because development isn't linear. So some of these players, they may hit their stride later on in life, maybe 24, 25. But by that time, if you're Chelsea, you might have got rid of them. I think that one of the good things with Liverpool's recruitment, when we have been recruiting well, is we've always, when we picked up Salah, Firmino, Mane, and all these guys, was all in the 23 to 24-year-old bracket. So they all had a certain number of minutes. They developed maybe not the full way to world-class level, but they were kind of closer on the cusp of it, and we could see them making that jump. And that's where I think it becomes tricky, because if you're investing that much money and it falls flat on its face like it seems to be doing to some extent, you're left holding a bag with a lot of young players who maybe they've calculated. They think, okay, we can get these if we get these guys in cheap enough, we can still flip them on. But flipping, when Ches was saying flip on the side, Liverpool, we bought in Carvalho, we bought in Brewster, we brought in Van der, a couple of the guys in Brentford. We sold them all for 20-odd million. We basically bought them in for almost nothing. That's fine. But if you're like the guy who Chelsea bought in January, who, I mean, he hasn't. I don't even know who he is.
When we think about Liverpool's great
He's
transfer
going to
business,
Strasbourg in the summer, right?
When people think about your best business at Liverpool, though, the players that you've bought in for 10 million and sold for 20, the players that from the academy you got 20 million for, they are a side note to everything else. And I think for a lot of Chelsea fans, there's this element of, I don't want this flipping player thing to be like the centerpiece of the business strategy. We have a few super chats here. This is and comments. This comment here says, but when a player is on 50 to 300k a week, you have got to not be affected by what usually affects someone. So again, there are a handful of examples of very extreme trauma people can go through that I don't think anybody should have to suffer with because of what they earn. We don't need to go into the morbid nature of that. We all understand what I'm saying. I agree, and I disagree, but not because they're on a lot of money. If I expect my employees to do that, I'll be blunt about it. If KJ like, Terry, I just can't work today. Why? Me and my wife had an argument last night, and I slept on the sofa, and I just can't work. I've got a problem. I don't care if I'm wrong. I've got a problem with that. That for me is not a good enough reason to not perform at work. Now, KJ's never done that. KJ would never do that. He's very, very professional. So I don't think it's about earning 50 to 300K a week. But I think most employees should be like that, especially if you're earning that kind of money. But I just think it's something that you have to look at. And most of the time, it's not having an argument with a partner. I think a lot of the time for youngsters. So we've put young kids on our bench. A lot, and young Obi came on again today. Internally, what I would now be looking at is let's see what his attitude's like when he's back with the under 18s, back with the under 21s. Is he working harder to get back onto that bench and in that team? Is he? And I'm not saying he is. I'm speaking hypothetically, but is he giving it the big one? Because that's happened at United before. We've given some kids a chance. I remember Rene Mullenstein talking about how after they were given a chance, they were kind of walking around the changing room with people of their own age group, like they were cock of the walk, like they were the big boys now because they played in the first team. And Rene, I remember him doing an interview and he said, I knew they were done for. As soon as I saw that, I knew they would never reach the level that their ability suggested. So this is very, very multi-layered, I think. Blaze here says, of course, the energies are different. He is an effing ex-Spurs manager, still watches Spurs now over us. You wouldn't accept Ollie at your club with bad results. That's a great point there, Blaze. I don't think Husam does take into consideration. And by the way, I still stand by the fact Poch should have been sacked. I agree with you all. Problem is, we were told it was a 4-window plan, 5 windows in, and we still don't have a first team. That was going to be my one last question to Ches, actually, but I forgot to ask it, and I'll ask him another time. But how many more seasons until you start to look at your rebuild? And because a rebuild can only really be called a rebuild for a short amount of time. It can't be called a rebuild in 5 years' time, 6 years' time, 7 years' time. That's I don't know what you call it, but it's.
How long did it take to build? How long did it take to build the new Wembley? Probably just that long.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's the Wembley rebuild. Chelsea should get Pogba and Zlatan for free. Okay, I think they need better. I don't think they need. They don't, yeah. He's in around. I checked that message, mate. Thank you. I don't know what that noise was earlier. Maresca out, 2 wins in 10 games, no top 4. Shocking. I still think sacking Maresca would be too premature as well. I know a lot of people that you want him gone, Elijah. Would you like him sacked?
Of course not, Terry, because he's a young manager and he can make mistakes. And funnily enough, even though we got 2 wins in 10, we still have a chance of making it to the Champions League. The season's not over yet. What I will say is that we need to be winning games consistently. That's the only way we're going to get over the line. So for me, I don't want him gone because, I mean, we are better off this season where we was last season, if you know what I mean. So I'll give him time, though. Like for me, but the sports directors and everyone else needs to leave because they're the main issue of this club, if you know what I mean.
Mate, I hear you. I hear where you're coming from. Yeah, even though I know he's made mistakes and I know there's problems, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just feel like sacking him would be somewhat premature, if that's the right word.
We're in this position. We're in this position because of what he did in the first half of the season. So we're in this position in line. So what's happened in between them? Obviously, like loss of form for people, injuries, whatever, blah blah blah. But he has made mistakes, and you expect that of a rookie manager. You expect them to make mistakes. The whole thing. If I was to describe Chelsea in one word for everything, it's all immature. That's what Chelsea are at the moment. They're an immature club for everything.
You know what's ironic? I actually came onto stream because of something that David said about fans being impatient. And I look at, obviously, there's a lot of talk about Chelsea fans having a protest. Spurs fans have had a protest. Liverpool fans, there's been talk of a protest, but there's a lot of people who want FSG out. There's a lot of people who want Kroenkes out. So we're all ironically, United fans have probably been the most patient because the Glazers have been there the absolute longest. All 3 of the top 6 teams want their fans out, and it's just kind of ironic because we obviously are the biggest 6 teams in the world, in the world, and in England. And none of us are happy. And maybe football fans always like, maybe we're never going to be happy. So
yeah, I think there's always
it's
going to be.
nah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. There's always an element. For me, I mean, I don't want the Glazers to stay, but it's the debt for us. It's that the one thing we have that you guys don't is £1 billion worth of debt that costs us something like £60 million a year in payments, which now is crippling us because of 10 years of misspending. But I do agree with you. I don't think fans will ever be happy with their owners, and there is an element
Terry,
of it
didn't you hear
to go to.
Terry, we've got 140 million in debt. Didn't you hear the other day on Talk Sport?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
I
Trev
did
said.
hear that. I did hear
It's
that.
gonna ruin the club, so.
But Terry, the sacking of Ten Hag added 15 million to your debt, and the same thing will happen if we sack Maresca prematurely because that 5-year contract.
Also it. But at the same time as that happening, like people say, again, I'm not for the redundancies, by the way. By and large, I think there was a lot of redundancies in the first cohort of people that were doing jobs that weren't necessarily needed at the club. So I'm not overly against that. And that's because I own a business. And if people are doing a job that doesn't make or save me money, I would look to do the same. However, there's this notion of, well, you can't make this group of people redundant in this department and then this department loses money. And I'm sorry to say this to people, that's not how big business works. And I think the media are being disingenuous with the way they're talking to us about it as fans, like we're stupid. Just because the retail bank of Barclays makes some redundancies because it's losing money doesn't mean that a loss in a department that's making hundreds of millions of pounds of profit a year should be scrutinized for making a £10 million loss, because they're different departments of an organization that have different revenue streams. They have a different cost to income ratio. And that's my problem with a lot of these conversations, is that those things are never spoken about. Now, I understand from the moralistic standpoint, it looks really bad, but every single department will have an income stream. And the size of your income stream will dictate how much of a loss you can make. And I'm not saying the mistakes were right. I've criticized the keeping of Ten Hag and the bringing in of Dan Ashworth. But at the same time, there's a much higher threshold for financial mistakes when it comes to recruiting for the first team than there is for over-ordering food in the canteen. There is going to be a much, and that's not but that's the reality of the situation, which unless you've worked for a big company or you own a business, maybe people don't understand that. And that, again, I'm not for everything the Ineos are doing. But someone said to me the other day, Terry, do you think it's right that they're like scrutinizing the amount of the orders that go into for the canteen? I'm like, well, yes and no. Yes, if there's imagine they're throwing away £5,000, £10,000 a month worth of food because no one's eating it. There's too much. Then it makes absolute sense to say, well, we're going to, and that's why I don't go in on everything just because I read it in the paper. I ask for the rationale. Well, were we wasteful? You know, they're talking about the caretakers having to count screws. I'm like, okay, sounds bad. Are there multiple little warehouses or like lockups full of materials that have cost thousands of pounds that we've bought that have never been used? If the answer is yes, then it makes sense to start scrutinizing it. If we don't waste food, we don't waste items for sort of caretaker work, as an example. If we're not over-ordering stationery, if we're not wasting money in these areas and they're just doing it to be Scrooges, I've got a bit of a problem. But I've got a gut feeling that we were wasting money in those areas. Why? Because we're a horribly run football club from top to bottom, and horribly run clubs and businesses and schools and families hemorrhage money most of the time. So I'm balanced with these things, and I always want to ask the additional questions of why did we do it? What did we find? What's the rationale? And yeah, look, I hear you. I do hear you. But yeah, fans are never going to be, I don't think fans will ever be completely happy with their football clubs unless they're winning. Even City, you look at the way some City fans have reacted this year when their team's been losing, the way they've gone at their club. It almost sounds like they haven't won anything for years, but I think it's a natural thing for us. Look, I want to say a big thank you to every single person who has tuned into the show. It means a great deal to me. Thank you to my panel. Thank you to the super chatters. Please hit the like button before you leave. Go check out FHM now. Yeah, go on, mate.
Sorry, Terry. I just want to say something before, because my girlfriend doesn't watch football at all, right? But she's sitting and watching your show right now. And she came on, I sent her the link, and then she told me something, and I regret sending her the link now, is because she said, I like Husam and I like his accent. And I'm like, bro, he hates Chelsea. Like,
Break up right now.
Yeah, but I would say this, though. You're a much better looking man than Husam. Much better.
Thanks, Terry. I think you won't like that.
yeah, but it's
and also just tell her to watch 2 more of his streams and she'll be put off him by then.
Yeah.
Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.